You only get 1 page, single-spaced, to prove why you're worthy of working abroad in Japan on the JET program. How are you supposed to fit everything in 1 page, single-spaced? It honestly feels impossible. And honestly, it is impossible to fit everything that you wish you could say. But it is possible to say enough. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through how I turned all of my messy SOP drafts into a statement of purpose that I felt proud of and that actually got me an interview on the JET program. But first, welcome to my channel, my Choko Mori channel, where I have been documenting my entire JET program experience from my first application to being in Japan. I just posted my JET application tip video, which covers the JET application as a whole. So if you want other tips related to the JET program application, you can check those out. So without further ado, what is an SOP or statement of purpose? Your statement of purpose, you can kind of consider it like your cover letter for JET. It's a little bit different because 1, it's a bit longer than a cover letter would be normally. And 2, it's a little bit more personal than a cover letter might be. And like I said at the beginning of this video, you get about 1 page single-spaced to convince whoever's reading your application that you are worthy enough to teach in Japan or translate. The SOP is a really important part of your application. It is the chunky final statement of convincing them after they've read your entire application. Now it's time to put it all together and describe who you are as a person. So it is extremely important. It is one of the most important parts of the application, which is why a lot of people get very stressed about it, including myself. How long does it take to write an SOP? The answer to this varies depending on the person. I have seen people online, Reddit, claim that it should not take you more than 2 hours to write your SOP. And if you're spending more time than that on it, you're taking it too seriously or you're working too much on it. It should not take you more than 2 hours. That's ridiculous. For me, I didn't specifically time out how long it took me. Technically, I was working on it for about 2 months in total, but if I had to condense all the hours that I spent on it, it would probably be in the 15 to 20 hour range. There are some people out there that are just really good at writing first tries. I have friends that pump out masterpiece essays for school in an hour or 2. So it just depends on your brain and your process. So don't feel bad if you're reading things online thinking that you need to be spending less time on your SOP. There's a limit though, okay? Don't go spending 100 hours. I think at that point, it is a little bit overkill at that point, okay? Don't go spending 100 hours, but it's also okay if it takes you more than 2 hours. It just depends on your brain. So this was how I wrote my SOP. First was a very messy first draft. Just pure brain word vomit. Don't overthink the first draft. Any little tidbit of an idea that you have, just throw it on the page. Even if you don't really think you'll actually use it, sometimes writing down those ideas leads to other ideas as well. My very first draft was literally just thick, hot vomit. Sorry, that was gross. There was no structure. I was just writing bullet points of things I thought I could maybe add, thinking about why do I want to do JET? What is my experience that I've had? The next thing that I did was I wanted to figure out what my hook was gonna be. So just like when you're writing an essay or a book or even YouTube videos you'll see a lot, you have to hook the viewer, you have to hook the reader in the first sentence usually. So I wanted to think of a good first hook that would compel the reader to read more. I know they're obligated to read the whole thing, but I wanted it to be a fun experience of oh, I want to read more actually. I'm not doing this because I have to. I'm doing this because I'm genuinely interested in reading the rest of this SOP. So I wanted to think of a good hook, which I decided was going to be a story. People are attracted to storytelling. For me, I decided to go with a memory that I had from my high school exchange program that I did in Japan, because I think that was the experience that definitely solidified me being really interested in working abroad at some point, whether it was in Japan or a different country. So I felt like it would be the most compelling to start with a story that was really meaningful to me, that made a huge impact on my decision. So at that point, I had all of my word vomit. I think I had about my first few sentences written that were my hook. And then life got in the way and I put my SOP on the back burner for about a month. I didn't pick it up again until 2 weeks before the deadline. However, taking a break from anything that you were working on, when you come back back to it, you have a bit more of a fresh mindset about it. I wouldn't recommend putting it away for a whole month. This was basically mainly because I had many other things going on at the same time. I had school, I had work, I had my TEFL certificate, I had all of my other JET application things that were also really important for me to get done. And of course, I went to Japan with my mom for 2 weeks in the middle of it. Circumstances made it so that I just didn't have the time to work on an SOP, but I think taking like a week break is pretty helpful. So after that 1 month, I came back and I revisited my SOP and I hated basically everything that I wrote. I was not happy with anything that I had written. I didn't like my hook anymore. Expect a lot of rewriting. I don't know how many drafts of my SOP I had. I could probably count it. It's definitely 10 plus, mostly because I would like write up a draft and then start a new one with like the things that I wanted to keep. But I didn't want to get rid of the old things in case I wanted to bring the old things back, so I would make a whole new document. So I had many drafts. Multiple drafts are part of the process. So after I started reworking what I wanted to say, I chose a different memory that I wanted to use for my hook. Still from the same time in my life that was very pivotal to me wanting to do JET. I checked off a bit more boxes that I wanted to check off, which leads me to what I did next. So I'm lucky. I have a really close friend that actually has done JET, and he was so amazing and helped me so much with my SOP. He gave me a lot of advice. His advice was to write out qualities and traits that you have that you want to highlight in your SOP, and instead of just stating those qualities, find stories and experiences that you've had that showcase those qualities. So it's the classic show, don't tell. You do this in basically any form of writing and storytelling. Your SOP should follow a similar structure. Of course, because of the limit in words, occasionally you need to tell because you literally don't have the space to tell a story about every single quality that you have. But those really key qualities that you want to really highlight and you have really good stories for, those are best to show instead of tell. The other important thing in the SOP is to state how you plan on using these traits in Japan as well. So it's like, if I volunteer a lot in Canada, well, I hope to also volunteer a lot in Japan because I enjoy being part of the community. I don't know. And at the very end, I did put in how I plan on using JET in my future career. I added like a little blurb about that as well. There were also some points that I added about me and my family and what makes my experience unique, because I grew up in a multicultural home because I'm mixed. So pointing out things that also just make you as an individual unique. Yeah, basically any trait or quality or experience that I felt was useful, I typed up paragraphs for all of it, and then of course my SOP became way too long. So I had to shave a lot of it off. I had to decide what was the most important things to keep, what was maybe less important. Some things I just merged where I could, 2 birds with 1 stone kind of thing. But yeah, I kept the things that supported my main themes the best. And then as I was nearing the due date for my JET application, I started getting more people to read my SOP. So besides my friend that previously did JET, I got a few other people to read it. I got my other friend that was currently applying for JET at the time. I have a bit of an advantage because I know a lot of people in the JET program, but I got another friend that also did JET before to read my SOP. I got my mom to read it, and I got a few of my other friends to read it as well, and they all gave me feedback. I was mainly looking for how easy it was to read, if it flowed nicely, if there was anything confusing, because I had to cut so many things up. So sometimes they would tell me that this paragraph didn't make sense because there wasn't enough context or it wasn't said very well because I cut too much out of it. So I wanted to make sure it flowed nicely, it made sense, it was clear and easy to read. If you don't know anybody in the JET program, I think that's also fine. I think as long as you can have somebody read it and they feel that it's an interesting and is compelling, I think that's good. I see a lot of people asking people on Reddit to read their SOPs. I don't have much opinion on that because I didn't do that. However, for me, I felt like it was more important to have people in my real life to review it rather than strangers on the internet, because you might be asking previous JETs or current JETs to read your SOP, but you don't know anything about those people. You don't know like what kind of people they are at all. Whereas for me, like the friends that I did ask, I know what kind of people they are. I know more about their credentials. So I felt safer having them review it as JETs rather than strangers on the internet. Ask strangers at your own discretion. Yeah. But I think it's also okay to get friends and family to read it. Just give them some context on the JET program so that they can get into the mindset of somebody trying to hire someone who's going to be a person who's going to help teach English and promote cultural exchange, somebody who's resilient enough to handle moving to a foreign country or blah, 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 you know? And then lastly, it was time for me to stop being so nitpicky. Perfection is not possible. Strive for greatness, not perfection. Aim for a clear, authentic essay that of course fits within the word limit. For me, I was getting very obsessive over fixing like small, minute little things and questioning things, but eventually I had to just let myself stop. And I told myself that there was little to no extra value that could be added to this. It stated everything that I wanted it to state within the word limit, and there was no possible way for me to make it any better, especially since the deadline was coming up. So even if I wanted to change something bigger, I just did not have the time for it. So it was good enough the way it was. So I had to forcibly tell myself to stop working on it. If at this point you're changing like commas and that's the only thing that you can think of to change, you're good. I think you did good. Anyways, so that is how I wrote my SOP. Oh, I do want to say I really limited my use of ChatGPT on this. I said this in my previous video, but it is really important that the foundation of your SOP comes from you and is authentic to you. ChatGPT is going to make you sound like a generic human, and it's not going to add those personal touches that make you who you are. And I think people reading your SOP can tell when it's authentic. If everybody's writing sounded the exact same, you're never gonna stand out. So please use ChatGPT with a little grain of salt. I'm not gonna say I didn't use it at all, because I did, specifically to help me cut down my sentence lengths. That is where I used it, because fitting all of the things I wanted to say within the word limit was really challenging. So sometimes just throwing a sentence in and asking ChatGPT how I can cut the sentence down a little bit more was helpful. But it needs to have your own personal flair, okay? Please do not rely on ChatGPT. You're gonna feel so much more proud of yourself looking at it, knowing that you put a lot of heart and soul into it. Writing an SOP isn't about writing the perfect essay. It's about telling your story in the most honest way you can, in a way that shows the JET program why you want to do this, how you're gonna do it, and what it means to you. So that's all I have to say. I hope you find this video useful. You can let me know down below if you have any questions, where you are in the JET application process. If you're interested in seeing my other JET related content, you can check out my previous videos. Best of luck in all of your applications. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you when I see you again. Bye!